the world is ever shifting, right? Especially now, technology. Never stop learning, never stop listening to podcasts, never stop going to classes, conferences, so just always continue to be learning, because the stuff that we're doing today, um, has shifted from what we did at the beginning. Marketing as a whole has changed. Like, I would never be able to get $5 Facebook leads again.
No.
It's impossible, right? Like, even after a storm, you're lucky to get them for $20. COVID shifted the world, and everybody's like, I can't knock doors. I better learn digital, and I better learn these things. And people evolved. So always keep evolving, because if you keep doing the things the same way that you're doing, as the world evolves, it'll get worse and worse and worse for you.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is the founder of Indie Roof and Restoration, Aaron Christy. Indie Roof and Restoration is a leading roofing company in central Indiana. So excited to have him on. Aaron, tell us about your journey. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Man, the journey's been a wild one. It's been fun. So it's weird. If you would have asked me 10 years ago if I'd be a general contractor, I would have been like, absolutely not. Yeah, no way. I don't even like changing my own oil. I worked in sales and marketing my whole life for a family business, but it was a lot of travel, home a week, gone a week type of stuff. And I got married, had 3 daughters, and had to find something where I wasn't gone every other week. Just randomly fell into roofing through a friend's, and ended up actually starting a roofing company as a side gig. I had a furniture store, and that's what I was like, hey, I'm going to go to this furniture store because the margins are insane. I was doing it, was not real happy with it. Like, from traveling all over the country my whole life and my whole career, to sitting in a store all day selling discount mattresses and couches and things, like, yeah, it got to me a little bit. And then I had this side gig of roofing. And then when I got to do the roofing, it was a little closer to what I was used to before, traveling around and going different locations and helping people. But the travel was around central Indiana instead of the whole country.
Right.
And so we had a storm in August of 2018. And I was like, let me just do a little marketing for the side gig. Ended up blowing up. Realized I loved it way more, and I handed the furniture store off to somebody else and went all in on roofing in 2018. So that's how I got here today. Totally random.
That's a crazy journey, but I've heard that from many entrepreneurs where one idea or initiative they originally had didn't pan out, and suddenly they realized a new opportunity, and they said, I'm going to go check out what's going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, you find what you're good at, what you enjoy. It's funny, when I worked for the family business, I learned a ton, and I became who I am today because of it. But I did not enjoy the business. I did not enjoy anything about it. And I always heard people say, like, oh, I'll find something that you like to do and you'll never work a day in your life. And I'm like, who likes their job? Like, I've been here 16 years. I'm miserable every day, but I make really good money. And so I was like, no, that doesn't exist. Like, movie stars, they love their job. Like, who's this apply to? And then I got into the roofing space, and I was like, I get it. It's still work, but I was working for myself. I enjoyed what I did. I got to help people. And it's almost like in the storm restoration market, it's a game. You got to, like, the insurance carriers, it's like playing chess with them. When you got to, like, do this. Yeah, but it's got to be replaced because of these, and you're pulling out documentation, and then they're pulling out policy stuff. And it was fun, man. And it was very interesting, and I was good at it, and I made people happy, and I helped people, and we won a lot. And yeah, it was really neat. And I was like, okay, I finally get it. Like, I do enjoy my job.
Right. And it kind of took working for yourself and seeing others appreciate, and you finally realize, okay, this is something I'm good at, something I can enjoy doing. And I assume you're making quite a bit of money from it because you're growing. You said you realized an opportunity in 2018. You went all in on some marketing. Tell us more about that marketing knowledge and initiative that you took, and where is that today? Are you doing consistent marketing? Now you have a brand and a business that's out there and well known?
I think it's probably my favorite part of what I have to do in the business. So when I was at my family business, I told you guys I would travel. And so my job was to go to a meeting room somewhere across the country and do a presentation for people, and then sign them up to our program if it worked. And I got tired of going and having one person in the meeting room or 3 people in the meeting room. So I started getting into marketing. Like, how can I fill this meeting room up? I'm going to be away from my family for a week. I want it to be worth it. And so I started digging into marketing and looking at outside the box ways to get people in the room, right? And I think that just transitioned over to when I was in roofing. So that first marketing push I did was almost free, and you can't do this as much anymore. Some of them are blocked off, but some of it you still can. I actually got on every like the top 7 real estate websites. And I looked through all the branch locations, and then they have all of their agents listed. And I paid my sister and one of her friends to go and create an Excel document that had all of the people's names and cell phone numbers. And I got all of those. I probably had like 2,000 names and numbers. And I went through and literally texted them all. Hey, what's going on? This is Aaron. Storm just hit. Here's a map showing if you have any listings in these areas or anything like that. Give me a shout. I'll go check it out. Spend a couple days doing that, and then starts hitting me. Their realtors refer other, like if a realtor needs a roofer, they ask another realtor, and like, you got a good roofer? And they're like, yeah. So now I'm getting passed around the community, and I got really busy, and I was like, I don't have time to do both of these, and I like this one more. So that's when I ditched the furniture store, and I've actually just over the years got really akin to what realtors need, because like they're salespeople. They want to close a deal. They want to get their commission. And every other roofer on the planet's just like, hey, if you need a roof done, call me. Here's some donuts. And we try to go at it in a way to where we actually provide them value to avoid problems in the first place. We do pre-listing inspections. If we get stuff like new roof, new siding, new gutters, it helps them list the house for more. They make more commission. Customer, it makes a lot more money. They're happy. But if they don't, and they get jammed up at closing and the whole thing's dusted with hail, now the seller's going to have to pay a deductible. Closing is going to get slowed up. You know what I mean? So it's just all about kind of like, how can I provide them value first? And then in turn, I'll get some business out of it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we've built over like the last 7 years, is like nailing down like a really good way to be mutually beneficial, as opposed to be preventatory instead of reactionary. Instead of just saying, gimme, 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 I'm saying, let me give you, and in return, I'll get.
I absolutely love that. And it's interesting that you focused on this form of cold calling. You identified this audience and said, okay, there's a center of influence here that can be influential in how you grow your own business. You focus on value first, and then down the road, this creates a better experience for them. They can sell more. They trust you. Bam. You've got your name and company out there building. Have you grown since then? Is it still yourself, or are you growing your team as well and scaling?
No, we're in 8 figures now. So we grew pretty quickly. So first year it was just me. I'm trying to figure out the world, right? Because I didn't come from roofing. So I'm out doing everything. Sometimes I look like an idiot. It's like I did something wrong. But then you make it right and you never do it again because you don't like that feeling. But it took me about a year of just grinding to figure out all the ins and outs and the best way to do things and whatnot, and the SOPs, if you will. And then we started growing, and then COVID hit. So 2020 comes around, COVID's hitting hard, but we are essential workers, right? And so COVID wasn't a big deal for me because we were out. Like, we had a big storm that year in 2020. We had 18 sales reps. Nobody could knock doors. And so I had taken classes on Facebook marketing. And so, like, cool, I didn't knock doors anyway. So we're getting like $5 leads after this storm, and we're showing up to houses, we're doing all this stuff, and we tripled that year and got to almost 10 million in our third year.
Wow.
And it was like 9.8. We were just shy of it, but yeah, it started blowing up, and then we got a pretty good name and reputation, and we made sure that we got reviews from everybody. And then as we continue to get reviews, we grew on GBP, our relevance, or at the time, Google Maps, right? That's what most people, I think, still call it. But now it's Google Business Profile. Now we have over 2,000 reviews because we've been very consistent on those. Yeah, just continue to try to get better. And then wherever you put your focus, the other parts tend to lag. So like, we took off sales and now we're focusing on operations, making sure everything's running good there. Then your sales drop off. You focus back on sales and your operation. It's like a constant juggling battle to make sure you're growing the right things at the right time.
Right. And I was going to follow up with that, because a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners kind of get stuck being like the solopreneur. They're doing everything right. They start to build maybe a small team or outsourcing, subcontracting some sort of fulfillment, but they struggle to get to that next level. And your responsibilities and what you do on the daily, I assume, is different today versus 3 years ago, 5 years ago, before you were kind of building. Or are you still in the trenches with everything? Or have you stepped back and you kind of direct your team now?
It's a great question. So I enjoyed being on the road and selling and whatnot, but about 3 years ago, as we're trying to grow, it got to be a little too much with everything that I had to do at the office. And so I stopped selling, focused on that stuff. And then I started hiring people in to lead leaders, right? The thing is, once you remove yourself, and I had removed myself a couple layers back, I realized that like the things that made us successful slip. And so even if it's just like there's a movie called Multiplicity. Some people have maybe seen it, Michael Keaton movie. And Michael Keaton's a good dude, whatever. They make a copy of him, like they clone Michael Keaton, and then the clone of Michael Keaton clones himself, and then so on and so forth. By the fifth Michael Keaton, he's like licking windows, like legitimately in the movie, right? And I feel like that's a good analogy for what happens when you remove yourself from a business that's successful. It's like you hire this person, well, they just change a little bit or don't focus so hard on one thing. And then, there's somebody ejected and then maybe a different sales manager. And next thing you know, when you're so far removed, you don't see it. All of a sudden it's going a completely different direction than what you had done to get there. And so I've recently figured that out. So I've took a couple layers out and put myself back in. And so now I'm working directly with the sales team. Right now we're sharpening the razor, if you will, realtor relationships and how we can provide value there, insurance agent relationships and how we can provide value to them, and just getting back to the basics and the core of the things that make us successful. So I know that there are a lot of people that successfully walk away from it and it runs very well. I have not found that median yet in this particular vertical, because in roofing, it's like, yeah, you walk away from roofing company. It's like people just want to go start their own or do that. And we've had that happen a few times as well. So I think it's finding the balance between having good people that can execute on written SOPs, and still keeping a watchful eye on everything and being involved and motivating and leading. So I think that's the important part, finding that sweet spot. And I feel like we're close to it. But here's the thing. I enjoy the marketing aspect of things. So I just keep doing that myself now, and then talking to the sales guys and working with them. So I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now. I have a very good COO. So if I need to go do something, I'm comfortable leaving. So yeah.
That's great. And I appreciate the honesty and transparency, because other business owners and entrepreneurs kind of deal with those things differently. Some never scale because they're either nervous or losing that little personal touch. And I think you experienced that as well, where the team just wasn't necessarily executing to that level. And you needed to be there to make sure that the ship was on course, because it can quickly fall off, as you kind of noticed. Kudos to you for pulling the reins back in and say, all right, I'm driving again. Let me take care of this. Because that's really important. This is your business, your baby. I'm sure you treat it like your own child in some extent, and very grateful for those opportunities, but we have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, ask me 5 years ago. I'm like, hey, you guys got to make the decisions. I've talked to business owners that are like, every single call still comes to their cell phone, right? And I'm like, dude, at least get a VA.
Yes,
$8 an hour,
yes.
$7 an hour. And they're like, first time I got a VA, I was like, oh my gosh, because I had turned into the secretary.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's
A weight off
tons
your
of business.
shoulders.
Every call that's coming in, you're managing it as a lead, or you're doing this. And so it's like, you gotta invest. But then I think what we missed was, as we continue, we thought we were going to hire our way into being a $40 million company, instead of we're a $15 million company. Well, if we get a director of ops and a director of marketing and this and that and that, it's just going to blow up. Well, it didn't. It added a bunch of overhead, and stayed about the same at sales, because we weren't focusing on the important things. And I can admit that, like, hey, we made a mistake. We should have put that time and effort and energy into maybe marketing and sales as opposed, right? And actually, I'll even say that I think ops got worse, because now we have 10 people in operations and everybody thinks it's everybody else's job as a person, as opposed to like a person owning it. I paid like an extra $500,000 in salaries for it to be crappier than if two people
Wow.
were in it.
That's rough.
So, but those are hard lessons, but it's good that you learn the lessons quickly and adjust. And I would say that most business owners have told you at some point in time they've made some decisions that haven't been the right decisions. And I think it's all about pivoting and realizing that you have to adjust, right?
Right, right, absolutely. And for those who are listening, where can people find more about you and connect with you online?
Well, you can find me on social media platforms. LinkedIn and Facebook are the only ones I really pay attention to. So,
Mhm.
uh, if anybody wants to talk roofing or restoration or anything like that, hit me up. I don't have anything to sell anybody. I just like talking business. I normally learn something from everybody I talk to, down to the littlest things. So they're welcome to hit me up and we can have a conversation. Or if they need anything done in Indianapolis or greater Indianapolis, look us up at indieroofingrestoration.com.
I love it. Absolutely. And we'll have those links available down in the show notes and the description for everybody. And before we started recording, we were chatting a little bit both about the marketing side, but
Yeah.
also AI and how things are kind of changing in terms
Yeah.
of marketing, business, roof and restoration. How are you using AI in your business, or how are you seeing it used for either business or marketing or roof and restoration?
Dude, I feel like I live on Chat GPT half the day. Um, you can change your personality on Chat GPT. Like, so for the people that don't know, go in into your settings and like, it's just like overly agreeable naturally. So like go in and
Uh-huh.
like set it as a personality that like, hey, you're a 8 to 9 figure business consultant that knows everything about, business and marketing and sales and whatever. And give it this personality, like never tell me yes if it's not the right answer or if there's a better way, challenge me. Otherwise it's gonna be like, yeah, that's a great idea, Aaron. When in fact it should be like, yeah, that'll work, but this is much better. And so I've ran a lot through there. I actually was able to cut about 30 hours a week by building a custom GPT that I made. It took me about 3 hours for the first time I made it, going through and trying to get it right. And
Mhm.
then I had to send it over to somebody to test, and we went back and forth like 8 or 9 times perfecting it, probably all in about 5 hours on this thing, right? And I had a guy that just sat around and looked at every estimate that was submitted by sales reps, and he wasn't familiar with the house, so he'd study the pictures, make sure they had the right materials. It's like an hour per estimate, and we're doing 6, 7, 8 roofs a day, so it's literally a full-time job to double check the sales reps. And I've made a custom GPT that they drop the roof reports in that say all the measurements, the estimate, and the photos, and then it gives it a passing score or not.
Oh,
Then they just had to turn that passing score in. We know that it's checked all the boxes, and then we got to reallocate him to do something else. And so now he helps out with all the scheduling and everything else, and was able to eliminate a position that wasn't needed anymore. So
wow.
that was cool. Like we're starting to get leads off of search AI search engine, which is really cool. So we're rebuilding a website now. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's AI Trust Signals or something, but it
Mhm.
scans all of your stuff. It's like $10 a month or something, but it scans all your stuff and tells you what you need to add to your website and everything else to be found on AI search. And so like we got that whole report, we gave it to our website company that's building our website. So they add all the right pages and everything in. But like we're focusing a lot on people are gonna search this and like they're gonna use that to find out information. And so I think it's extremely important. And we're trying not just answering questions and things for you. Like anybody can say, hey, what's some good movies on Netflix on it? But like building either a custom GPT or a personality that really challenges you to grow and look at every aspects that maybe you don't know. And I've learned a lot just having conversations with a computer. So it's very helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And building that personality into it, you've been able to replace a 30, 40 hour a week job. And now you're just reassigning them to more higher value tasks.
Correct.
And this is going to be something that will continue throughout the next few years. Scheduling, graphic design, website creation, all these things are kind of being challenged with AI and these new tools out there. So I definitely agree. You got to stay ahead of the game. Speaking of 2026 is what are you excited for, looking forward to? Do you have any new products or initiatives that you're kind of putting out there? You mentioned your website already, using some chat GPTs, but 2026, going to bring anything new for you, or are you kind of sticking the course and keeping the same?
No, so I'm focusing on our regular course because we have a pretty high domain authority. I had an opportunity with somebody that came that's got 28 years in water restoration and actually help build one of the premier water restoration companies. We get calls already for water restoration and things. So we're going to have a water restoration division. We've got all the equipment. We've got the people on through this gentleman that started today. Actually, we will be branching into water restoration, which, as you know, I'm working gas winter, freezing pipes. That's the time. So we'll be doing that and be able to kind of expand our expertise there. And also we had almost exclusive contract with Pella Windows, where we get to use their Pella certified installers and sell their products, and can offer windows to our clientele and customer base as well. So those two
Wow.
things we are adding in. So with the restoration, we already do interior drywall, paint, like everything else. Really, the only thing we didn't do is show up in the middle of the night and stop the flooding, right? But we did all of the other stuff because it leaks in roofs. And so we have to fix leaks and we have to fix interior stuff. And so we already did that. We just got to add the emergency part on. So we did that. And then windows we get asked about a lot. And we were just like, out of our comfort zone. But now with Pella doing the actual installation and guaranteeing everything and certifying it all, it was a really good contract to pick up. So now when our customers need windows, we can confidently offer them that, knowing that they're going to get a great product.
Wow. Expanding the service line, and now this just becomes marketing and sales problems. Now you already have the fulfillment, you're ready to go, you're confident in that. Now it's just about building and growing on that marketing and sales piece that you've done so well already.
Yeah, for sure.
That is super exciting. Aaron, if there was one piece of advice that you could share with another entrepreneur, whether just starting out or trying to better themselves, is there any advice that you would share with them?
Oh man, just one.
You could do a couple. We have time.
Because
We'll take all
I'm
the
like,
info,
there's so much.
right? How do I do just one?
One, I will say the world is ever shifting, right? Like, especially now, technology. Never stop learning, never stop listening to podcasts, never stop going to classes, conferences. Like, like I sat through water restoration class and I'm not even going to be doing it, but I want to know. I want to know what's going to be going on and how it's going to be working. And so I'm going to get WRT certified, right? So just always continue to be learning, because the stuff that we're doing today, has shifted from what we did at the beginning. And I don't even mean like how I said we kind of got away from the original things. I mean, marketing as a whole has changed. Like, I would never be able to get $5 Facebook leads again. Like,
No.
it's impossible, right? Like, even after a storm, you're lucky to get them for $20. COVID shifted the world and everybody's like, I can't knock doors. I better learn digital and I better learn these things. And people evolved. So always keep evolving, because if you keep doing the things the same way that you're doing, as the world evolves, it'll get worse and worse and worse for you. So keep your eyes open. The biggest piece of advice is just to continue to learn and be a self-learner and implement the things.
I love that, Aaron. Some great advice. Always be learning. One model that always holds true to my heart. Congratulations on all your success. Looking forward to your future success as well. We appreciate it, and congratulations to you.
All right. Thanks for having me out, Chris. Appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you.